Okay, well, I'm really excited to see that there's so many people excited about email marketing. I always say, it's normally you go to dinner parties and you're the boring one because you can't shut up about email marketing. So to have people actually want to listen to me is an absolute privilege. Why email marketing? Well, email marketing has the highest ROI for any type of marketing activity. So if you look, and this is based off various different studies, but the one that's quoted most commonly is the American Marketing Association study, and they've done this systematically over several years, and basically they calculate email as giving a return of around $40 for every dollar invested into it. The next highest on that list is SEO at around $22. So basically email is about double as effective for your marketing dollar as the next best technique on the list. And then you go down from there with sort of social media and various other elements. And so obviously without social media or SEO or AdWords or any of these other things, email marketing is fairly weak. We need to build a list. But email marketing is the leverage. And it really amplifies the results of absolutely any other marketing activity you do. And it's for that reason that I believe that email marketing is one of the first things you should put into place in any business. It is the foundation of marketing in the modern world. And the other cool thing about email marketing is the fact that you can automate much of it. So unlike many of the other activities that you might need to do later on, much of email, it's not that you can't continually improve and put energy into email marketing. Of course, you can do that ongoing. But there's a large amount of stuff you can do up front that once you've done it, you can set it and forget it, and that will actually increase the results across everything else that you do. The other problem with, or should I say the problem with email marketing is I believe it's highly underappreciated. Certainly by the majority of offline businesses. In the online business world where I come from, it's understood the money is in the list, the money is in the list, the money is in the list, and people go crazy about building lists and putting huge amounts of time and effort into their email marketing. We'll fill this in. How many types of email are there? It's a hint. 5. So many people just kind of think of email as being email, and it's as simple as that. Actually, there are several types of email, and I've kind of made this up, so it's not an exact science, but it does hopefully help break it down for you a little bit and make it clearer. So the first is broadcast. Now, broadcast email is the type of email that is sent one time and one time only. We send a broadcast out. And so this is not set and forget. This is definitely work at it. This is the kind of email that most businesses probably think of when they think of email marketing. If you're thinking like sending out a newsletter, that's your broadcast email. If you're thinking about sending out a one-off promotion, that's your broadcast email. If you're thinking about sending out an update, some news about your business, or a software update, that kind of thing, that's a broadcast email, which is our autoresponder. And that's probably because this is the second most common thought of type of email. So the autoresponder is simply an automated sequence of emails. Now, what that basically means is that if somebody opts in, they leave their name and email address on your website, they go onto your list, they enter a sequence of emails, and day 1, they get day 1. Day 7, they get email 7. And a month later, somebody else joins, they now get day 1, and then 7 days later, they get day 7. And so it's very simple. You can set up a nice sequence of email, and you can follow up with leads as they come in, and you can take them on a journey. And this is really important. We use this a lot for delivering content. It's great for education, and it's also great for establishing rapport, building relationships, and essentially establishing trust. Somebody who possibly hasn't bought yet, or you can use it for perhaps a customer. So if somebody buys something, they enter your list, and then they become day one of, say, a customer's autoresponder sequence. And you might do this to then follow up with them. You might use this to, for example, increase interaction with your product. So if you've got a product that may need a little education, this is a great way, we call it onboarding, where we can then send out a sequence of emails that actually helps onboard your customer to get a better experience with your product or service. This helps reduce refunds, it helps increase customer engagement, it helps increase referrals. So there's a variety of different reasons why we might want to do this. But of course, we can also take it a step further, because most businesses, or a lot of businesses at least, have additional products or services that they might want to sell, an upgrade of some description. So we can now actually place this into our autoresponder sequence, and after delivering some additional value by helping and assisting the new customer to get the most out of our product or service, we can then introduce them and say, hey, you know, if you're getting stuck, you might find that this widget over here is really useful. Oh, and by the way, we can give you 20% off if you order today. And so this kind of targeted promotion, where we're not just giving 20% off to anybody, we're giving 20% off to the person who is at the exact point in the sequence where they're most likely to respond. So coming down, let's jump transactional. Transactional email are those kind of emails that are sent out when you, for example, purchase something. You get a receipt from an e-commerce store, or you forget your username and password, and you have to trigger a username or password to go out. So basically, they're triggered by a piece of software, or inside of a piece of software, when something is needed, when information is needed to be sent to a user. Now, transactional emails are so overlooked by internet marketers, it's just not funny. Yet, how many of you have gone shopping at the supermarket and looked at your receipt and been encouraged to take some other action? Right? Maybe a discount off something, a come back, buy something coupon, maybe a discount for some fuel. Discount for fuel. Do supermarkets sell fuel? Does anybody smell an affiliate deal in there somewhere? So transactional emails are really powerful. And one of the reasons they're really powerful, and we'll talk about deliverability rates, etc., a little later in the talk, but the challenge with any marketing email is getting it read, is getting it delivered. Transactional emails have incredibly high deliverability rates, incredibly high open rates. And there's zero resistance because people aren't expecting to be marketed to. So you've got a completely open mind when that person opens your email and reads it. Plus, you also know what's just happened, right? You know why they're getting that email. So you know from a psychological standpoint what they're expecting, where they are, what product they may have just purchased, and then what may be a really applicable, targeted, focused offer for that particular individual at that precise moment in time. The other thing about transactional emails is they often occur, or usually occur, when somebody is already on the computer taking action, right? So unlike broadcast email and autoresponders that tend to get sent out when we don't know, is the person near a computer or not? What kind of space are they in? We know that these guys are actually interacting with the computer at that moment because that's what happened to trigger something to get that email sent. Another one in a similar level of that is support. Support emails. So this might be a sales inquiry, it may be just a customer inquiry or a support ticket for a product or service that you may be supplying. Now, there's a couple of opportunities we have with support email. Again, incredibly high deliverability rates, incredibly high read rates. I mean, if you've just requested support, the chance that you're going to read the email from the support desk is pretty high. If you have a customer who's just complained, this is an opportunity to convert somebody who is disgruntled and hopefully bring them on our side. And it's amazing how many times that you find a customer who is very negative in a support email will become your best friend and your an absolute advocate and go out and market the hell out of your business for you simply because you treat them right. Event-based. Now, event-based is my new favorite type of email. Event-based emails they're similar to transactional in a way, and you could argue that transactional emails are event-based emails, but I want to look at event-based in their own right, because these are perhaps the most powerful type of marketing opportunities we can ever expect to see in the marketing world. Event-based emails are the types of emails that get triggered based on a specific action or interaction with somebody on your website. So, for example, if you've captured a lead, if you've captured somebody's name and email address in your autoresponder, and now somebody goes and visits a particular page, let's say they've gone out and checked out one of your products, and they don't buy, then they disappear. Well, that event is tracked by your system. And now you can go and actually send a promotion a few hours later or a day or two later if you don't want to appear too stalkerish, and let them know that actually there's a special offer on that particular product. Of course, it's only for them, but they don't necessarily need to know that. And so the idea is here that you see that there's an engagement, there's some interaction. You can actually set it so that, for example, not just if they just happen to glance through that page. So they go to that page, they look at it briefly, but if they've spent, let's say, a minute and a half on that page, now they've expressed real interest. This isn't somebody who just tripped across a page accidentally, right? This is somebody who's actually taken the time to read the content on that page. You can actually make it so that the email will trigger only if they scroll down the page and they read through it. So they get to a certain point. One of the classic event-based ones that you'll see that is used quite a lot is the abandoned cart email. That's the one where you basically add something to the shopping cart, you decide that actually you don't want to buy it, or there was a problem with the shopping cart, whatever it might be, you disappear, you don't buy. Strangely, within about 24 hours at the most, you suddenly get an email going, was there a problem at checkout? Perhaps we can offer you a better deal. Maybe you need a 10% discount, or maybe you could just call one of our support guys and they'll help you with your credit card processing, or whatever it might be. Those emails are incredibly powerful. So think about it. In almost any business, there are a variety of different ways or opportune moments when somebody takes a specific action where a specific event-based email that is targeted to them at exactly the right moment in time. So that's the 5 types of email as I see it. As I say, harness the power of the beast, because the beast will leverage all of your other marketing efforts. You know, whether you're talking social media, you're talking AdWords, etc. Once you get that lead has cost you. Remember, this is kind of like the fundamental thing to remember that I think a lot of people tend to kind of overlook. But there is a cost in acquiring a lead. A lot of people see marketing as an expense. Marketing is only an expense if it makes you less money than it costs you. And when you have an investment, you put as much as you can in as long as it keeps returning a decent ROI or return on that investment. The standard ad basically inspires very little action. It may be a call to action to say, like, buy this. We've got a special promotion on. That's great, but if I don't want to buy what you're selling me that week, or I'm not in the right frame of mind to buy it that week, then that ad is completely lost on me. However, if there's some way for you to be stimulated to actually leave your name and email address, to actually kind of make a connection with me where I can now follow up, I don't need to spend another $1,000 on newspaper advertising in the hope that you're going to actually see the ad the following week or the following month and eventually see it when you need it. Instead, I can enter you into my autoresponder system and follow up with you systematically until you are ready to make a purchase. And I can give you the special offer at the time it makes most sense for you personally by using the various different elements of email marketing. Does that make sense? So fundamentals of good email marketing. Subject. There's an assumption that basically if we send an email to somebody, they're going to open it. They don't. Actually, the email open rates vary from business to business. If you're a really large business and send out a lot of email, you can expect open rates down around about 5%. Email can get open rates of around 40, 50, even 60%. Generally for an average list if it's got a good subject line. What's the best subject line of all? Nothing at all. Completely blank. Yep, I kid you not. One of the best possible subject lines you can have is none at all. It doesn't work if you keep doing it, of course. They kind of catch on. But yeah, what business would ever send an email out without a subject line? But if you look at the open rates, it's phenomenal. I did it accidentally. You know, it happens, you make mistakes and you send one out and it was like, oh wow, that really does work. So subject lines should be engaging, should be interesting, hopefully have some kind of benefit. The body. The body is the content of the email. Go study copywriting, and because everybody always asks me in advance, the book I recommend is Cashvertising, with a little $ for the S. Cashvertising. Excellent read, but total side tangent, other than the fact that it will help you increase your open rates and help you increase your click-through rates. Now, the other part of the email is the structure. So the structure of the email, often you'll see a lot of businesses try to be very business-like, very corporate, very fancy, very professional. They have nice logos, they have nice graphics, they have nice tables, they have very well formatted emails. What a pile of junk. They decrease open rates, they decrease deliverability rates, they decrease click-through rates. Why? Because the ISPs, the email inboxes, and the people opening them all can see them for what they are. That is corporate promotion or business promotion. When you have a more text-based email, and there is a balance with this, you know, so if you have a text-based email and then you have a single like image button, well, usually CSS for those of you who want to get technical, but some kind of button in there, visual button, and then a bit more text, maybe one or two images, a little bit inside of the email, but just one, maybe two max. Usually none at all, just a button. You'll find that that will have the best deliverability rates and the highest click-through rates. And you know, it's a little bit like in the offline world for direct mail. You know, for any of you who've studied direct mail, you know there's two kind of approaches. One is the kind of envelope that looks like it's direct mail, absolutely plastered in advertising, branding, and everything else. And then there's, on the opposite extreme end, the handwritten envelope. And for those of you who've done any form of direct mailing, you'll know that the handwritten envelope is by far the best way to go, so long as you can find the time to write the envelopes. So this is kind of a little bit similar. It's about trying to make it personal. It's about making it look like something that they would be receiving from a friend and make it a little bit more engaging rather than simply, oh, this is another business promotion. On a side note from that as well, in terms of clicks, getting clicks, it's, you know, like in social media, you've got to get engagements to increase your number of views. Well, email's a little bit similar. So basically, the more clicks you can get, the more that the ISPs see that this is something that people are engaged in, that they want to receive, and it increases the deliverability rates. It reduces the rate of them, or chances of it ending in spam. And as another trick, if you can get them to reply to your email, particularly the first one, this is a really sneaky little trick, but if you can get somebody to reply to your very first email, then Google won't see it as promotion. And you'll get out of the promotions tab and into the inbox, right? Because who replies to a promotional email? Nobody. So the more you can get people actually replying, responding, interacting, clicking on your emails, the better chance you've got to end up in the inbox. There is a law around sending email, and I'm not going to go into the depths of spam compliance, but consistently, many businesses fail to provide an unsubscribe link. This is law. If you're sending mass email, you must provide an unsubscribe link. That means you cannot be sending, there's little exceptions to this, but if you're sending email out, that's non-transactional. If you're sending promotional email out, it should be going through a proper autoresponder with an unsubscribe link. So, if you're communicating with students and that kind of stuff, or sending transactional emails, no, it's fine. But the moment that you go into an email marketing promotional sequence, you absolutely have to have an unsubscribe link, which means using a professional service. List building. I'm just going to race through this quickly. I'm sure by now many of you will be familiar with your old classic squeeze page, otherwise known as lead page, sometimes called landing pages. Something like that. Headline, product image or video, name, email, opt-in. Yeah? Burying your newsletter in a footer somewhere saying, please stay in touch, enter your name and email address, or get our regular newsletter, doesn't cut the mustard. I'm sorry. You might say, oh yeah, but we get people opting in. Well, if you do, it's by absolute random chance and not by skill, I can tell you. Having it buried deep like this and hidden with very little incentive is only going to get the most die-hard fans to opt in. You want to put it up front, make sure that there's a really serious offer. The more convincing that this offer is, the higher chance you have of somebody actually opting in. And of course, good headline, copywriting, essential. Nice, clean layout, simple. Why do these work? Because they give people one choice and one choice only. Opt in. Like, there's no other distraction, there's no other focus. It's very clear what you want somebody to do. Okay, how many people have seen opt-in forms with email only? Right? A lot. Don't do it. There's very good reason for this, and unfortunately, like many things in marketing, they are done by people who don't really think. They just follow trends, or they have very short-term thinking. So if you do email only, you can expect about a 15 to 17% increase in your list size. Sound good, right? So why would I say make sure you capture their name if we're going to increase the list size by 15 to 17%? I must be mad. Other than the fact that there's also a pile of research that says if you use the first name inside of the subject line, you increase deliverability rates, open rates. Use their first name inside of the email address, inside of the actual email, you increase open rates, not open rates, because they don't know yet, but deliverability rates, click rates. If you actually carry that email across into the sales page, which you can do, and have their first name appear inside of the sales page itself, you increase buy rates. Not only that, just because we've increased it by 15 to 17%, we haven't necessarily said that that was a good 15 to 17%. You know, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure out that not all leads are created equally. So somebody who is not willing to put their first name in is far less likely to pull out their credit card later on. So just because we've increased the list size doesn't mean we've increased the list quality. Customer lists, they're the best of all. Customer lists, once you get a customer, it's easier to sell to an existing customer than it is a new customer. Yet so many businesses keep focusing on trying to acquire new customers and completely ignore their existing ones. I'm sure you've all been to business courses or read business books that tell you this, and then you go away and ignore it. The autoresponder is an opportunity to not ignore it, right? It's a really good way of if you build a list, if you actually, and again, this goes back to this idea of often selling a low-cost product up front. If you can actually sell a product up front for a very low cost, you've now got somebody who's actually opened their wallet and actually invested into you, and now you have a buyer's list, which is extremely powerful. Remember, build a relationship. Don't just go for the kill. Build a relationship, provide value. Nobody likes to be marketed to. You know, this gets into content and copywriting, but really it's about education. Use email marketing as a way to educate people, not to sell to them. Because, you know, the old adage, people love to buy, they hate to be sold to. Right? So if we provide value, if we provide content, if we provide useful information, people will share these emails. People will read the emails. They will look forward to them. They won't just kind of hit you in the spam box or, you know, ignore you. I don't know if that's a reasonable place to kind of wrap it up from a filming perspective. And then if anybody has questions, we can...